Funding for this program is provided by the JPB Foundation and the Ford Foundation.
Impoverished, in need, invisible. Words we're familiar with. But what it means to live in poverty is changing across Arkansas, and it's reflective of the nation as a whole. The causes are varied and complex. Some include addiction, health problems, lack of education, and debt. For many individuals and families, day-to-day life is shaped by an ever-shifting landscape of choice and chance. Within that landscape, there is hope for the future. Hello, and welcome to A Deeper Look, The Poverty Divide in Arkansas. I'm your host, Philip Fletcher. This show will introduce you to a few faces of our neighbors who are dealing with poverty and show efforts being made to decrease this epidemic. But first, the numbers.
There are 2.8 million people in Arkansas, and 532,000 of them, or 1 in 5, are living below the poverty line. That ranks Arkansas fourth in the nation. The number includes 183,000 children, or 1 in 4 living in poverty, and 21,000 veterans. 2,560 people were homeless in Arkansas in January of 2015. The national poverty rate is 15%, but Arkansas's rate is 19%. There are disparities along racial and ethnic lines. The poverty rates for people of color, whether African American or Latino, are twice what they are for white Arkansans. This is true at almost every age level.
When you want to talk about poverty, there's a number of ways to look at poverty. You can look at income level and say, well, at this income level, we have people below that level are in poverty. And the other way is to look at relative poverty, and that has to do with, well, I don't have as much income as you, so I'm in poverty. We're more interested in poverty thresholds and the consequences of poverty thresholds of people below a certain income level.
In Arkansas, the poverty threshold for a family of 4 is an annual income of approximately $24,000. The definition of working poor is generally twice the income of the poverty threshold. Many believe that even at this level of income, people are struggling to meet daily needs. Arkansas's higher than average poverty rate is a statistic shared with other southern states. The South has higher poverty rates than the other 3 regions of the country.
If you look at the map of poverty, you'll see that the states in poverty are southern states. So the southern economy has historically been a lower income economy. I think the biggest trend in employment in Arkansas associated with poverty is the migration of manufacturing because of the globalization of manufacturing. So now all they have is a service sector. The economic base of the region isn't providing the employment opportunities and the income necessary to get you above the poverty threshold.
Barriers to prosperity include education and skill levels of individuals, health issues, the ability of communities to attract higher paying jobs, and lack of adequate job supports, such as affordable childcare, transportation, and affordable housing. There are many different views on how to reduce poverty. Some think the best way is to reach children early, particularly underserved kids. Giving all children a strong early start is key to health, education, and ultimately economic security. Some believe a stronger higher education system is the key to a stronger workforce. For millions of Americans, especially the children of poor and minority families, getting more education is seen as the best avenue to jobs and higher incomes. And some believe that tax cuts are an effective way of bolstering a weak economy and creating jobs. There are many theories on how to tackle the problem of poverty, but most would agree that the key elements include economic development, supporting families, and providing education and training opportunities.
The statistics are staggering. We all know someone living with these issues, and it's hard to see and not do something. Ignoring is the worst thing that can be done. One family dealing with some of these challenges are the Boltons, Thomas, Louise, and their 5 children. They struggle to make ends meet in one of the highest crime areas in Little Rock. With bills stacking up, including a recent eviction notice, the Boltons hold firmly to one another, more thankful for what they have than what they don't.
But yeah, I've been at this job for probably about 3 months, 4 months now. Wake up about 4:15, 4:30, do my daily inspection on my truck, get in it and hit the road. And from that point on, it's client after client after client.
You said you was up, you're not up. Get up. It's kind of hard, especially when you have kids at home and you have to provide and you only have that one source of income coming in. And it frustrates me because, you know, he's hardly here, so we don't get a chance to see him. So we could go get me a cup of cold water. I don't want my kids to feel like Dad is not home or whatever. Dad doesn't love them, but they know, you know, but I don't want it to get to that point where Dad is always gone because he's the sole provider here.
But the question is, do you want to be happy? If you're tired of you, then say, I just want to be happy.
I actually went to college, you know, I went to college for 2 years, but right now it's just not a good time because I have to provide for the family, so because it's difficult for her to find a job by her having a 16-year-old record. You know, it's crazy that people go back and look at that.
What I got made for you.
I guess people don't believe in second chances.
I mean, it's very depressing and hard at times because I want to work. I mean, although Thomas, you know, works and the bills are, you know, what we can pay. We have to be at our house by July 15th. I knew it would happen, but I didn't know it was gonna come as quick as it did. There's no fun times anymore.
You know, I just try to push through it day by day. You know, as long as my kids fed, got clothes on their back, and I see a smile on their face, you know, whatever else I can deal with on my own. You know, I have to be a man and just make it happen.
We will check back with the family later. You know, Arkansas is a very diverse state. Corner to corner, the differences can be seen in industries and communities, geography and economy, regardless of whether it's in a city or in the country. Arkansans struggling to make ends meet are in every community. Our House and Heifer USA are 2 examples of programs providing assistance to homeless and low-income Arkansans. They are varied in their approach, but offer much-needed services to urban and rural communities.
Went through the recession, had some addiction problems with alcohol. I ended up losing my house and nowhere to go, no job to do. I was in a place called PRI at UMS, and one of the counselors there had interned here. And she made a phone call, and they just happened to have a bed open. So they gave me a bus fare and a sack lunch, and they sent me here, and I had no idea where I was going. I just knew there was going to be a bed and food when I got there.
Our House is a comprehensive program for homeless and near homeless families and individuals. It's a program that's based in Little Rock that serves 1,800 people a year with housing, with job skills and job training programs, with life skills, with a very large children's center that serves 150 kids every day, and also with a significant homeless prevention program that helps people who are families with children avoid entering that system and cycle of homelessness.
So this is the shelter. So this is often the entry place for a lot of our housing clients. This specifically is our men's dorm where 40 men stay. In our program, our clients can stay for up to 2 years, and what's significant about that is that these spaces can be home for a really extended period of time.
I ended up here, and then later on they offered me a position in the job training program, which I was happy to take. Ever since then, I've just enjoyed working here and being here, living here. I'm just learning to cope with what is coming and dealing with what has happened. You know what I'm saying? It's just something you have to learn to do. You got to let go of the past and move on to the future, and that's one of the things they teach you how to do here.
People come to Little Rock from all over the state seeking services, seeking a better life for themselves. And so while a large city like Little Rock, an urban environment poses an opportunity, it also creates some burden. And in 1 month, we find that there are, on average, 235 people who need into the shelter, who need into a homeless housing program. And we can only take about 30 of those.
I was studying biology as an undergrad at UCA with the intention of going to medical school. You know, when you're a kid, you're really optimistic, and you're like, I'm gonna be a surgeon. Well, I just kind of realized that my personality didn't really fit that high-stress lifestyle. When I started farming, I was only working part-time, so needless to say, my income was not really that great. My husband, on the other hand, was working as a contractor for a woodworking company that made fine quality wooden sparring swords that were like sold at Renaissance festivals. That put him away from home a lot, and I was working part-time doing farm work. We were maybe bringing home together about $21,000 a year.
Right now we're concentrated primarily in Arkansas and in the southern Appalachians in North Carolina. But the ultimate goal of the Heifer USA program right now is to model based on a couple of cooperative initiatives that we've got going on in livestock and in organic produce. So that way we can go out and replicate in other high-need areas around the country where there's a high poverty rate and very low opportunities for employment for people.
Heifer provides support to our farmers to help our farmers get off the ground, and is helping us develop a value chain that will break down some barriers for farmers that help them connect with markets.
The grant from Heifer was about $3,200. It helped me to build the first 5 chicken tractors, and then also to build 2 small brooder houses. The first year of farming, I'd say our income went up. We grew 1,200 chickens. It probably went up $4,000 or $5,000.
We're only about 2.5 years into this model that we're working on, and our early indicators are showing success so far. We're showing that the farmers participating in the livestock project have been able to, at least so far, increase their wages to a point of a living wage in their community. And we've also been showing that the average vegetable farmer that's participating in our projects is also able to at least show enough of an increase in agricultural sales that it's pushing some of them over the poverty line compared to where they started at.
I personally don't think I would have gone down that path without the cooperative. I live in one of the more impoverished areas in Arkansas and Searcy County, and most of the people I live by cannot afford the products I produce. So for me to be able to sell them on my own, I would have had to find a way to transport all of my products to Little Rock or Northwest Arkansas. And that requires a truck and some sort of way of keeping your product frozen. And the hurdles are the hurdles are high.
Taking care of people where they live and also boosting their income where they live will also provide more systemic opportunities in that community. If we were just to take and transplant somebody from a rural area to an urban area where there's an opportunity, it still leaves behind the rest of the people in that community.
Understanding that there is more than one type of poverty is critical in deciding how to make a difference. One large group affected is veterans. People who have served our country come home and find difficulty living the American dream. But there are some Arkansans who want to help these brave men and women. Unity of effort is a common thread through this segment on Arkansas's veterans. We visit Veterans Villages of America that strive to bring services together for veterans in need.
I started out as a private and retired as a colonel, so I had a very successful career in the military. I'm a combat veteran, and now I'm an advocate for our veterans. We were deployed from 2003 to 2005, spent an actual year in Iraq, in Taji, Iraq. It was at the worst possible time you could be over there. We lost 36 soldiers. We had over 350 with combat-related wounds. When we came back from Iraq, I thought, we're home, we're safe, everything's fine. Come to find out, we came home to a battlefield here at the house. A lot of the people trying to transition back into civilian lives, and the transition wasn't going well. Within 6 months, I had 5 soldiers commit suicide. I saw attempted suicides, saw families splitting up that you wouldn't ever have thought would have split up. Veterans come back home, couldn't find work. They went from making life and death decisions and taking care of their buddy on their left and their buddy on their right to, what's life about? What does it mean? And they had those struggles. Also found a lot of my soldiers homeless. And after the divorce and after the alcohol and the self-medication and all these problems, it took a lot of adjustment for us to be able to reconnect in our lives.
When you deploy, you go overseas to a third world country in a war zone, you kind of get this culture shock. And then after a while, it's normal. Then you come home back to the States and you have that culture shock again. But it doesn't fade so quickly, a lot of times looking back, I go, man, I wish I'd have stayed in because I miss it. There's nothing else like it. But at that time, I was just kind of overwhelmed and just wanted to move on with my life. I really didn't have a plan. Didn't really know what resources were out there. I didn't even know what the VA was. I didn't know what PTSD was. I was basically running around undiagnosed with PTSD for quite some time. I was having a hard time holding down a job, which left me without a lot of money in my pocket a lot of times, and finding new places to live often sometimes, and even not having a place in between places a few different times, sleeping in my car and couch surfing. I had a lot of struggles when I left the military.
Now we have transition assistance program with people getting out of the military. It's supposed to be preparing them for going back into civilian life. Well, what we're doing currently isn't working. So I put together a team of people and we come up with an organization called Veterans Villages of America. We said that what we've got to do is have a unity of effort and try to pull everybody together, and that's including the community, our veterans organization, our civic organizations. We need to have that kind of impact when a veteran needs something. We had a World War II veteran that VA social worker called us about, and she said, well, he's a 90-year-old World War II veteran, and he made a comment today that he's just got to where he can't keep the upkeep on his house. It's kind of running down on him, and he's just not physically able to do it anymore. And I said, well, I'll go out and check on him. When I did, I went out and I saw his house, and I mean, you could see through the floors, cabinets falling apart, lamps, electrical, all kinds of problems there. So what we did, we put out a call to the community and all of our strategic partners and veterans organizations, putting this unity of effort together and going out and going in and fixing up his house.
It looked bad, and it was terrific the way they done it, and I enjoyed it. Feel like I can't explain it, but it was terrific, and it was a blessing.
We had ACO Carpet One came in, put new flooring. We had a veteran who was in the Marine Corps that served in Iraq and now builds cabinets. He came and built brand new cabinets for him. We got new furniture for him in the house. We had the North Little Rock Middle School East Initiative, 8th grade kids that designed a front porch for them to come out and sit on, and a wheelchair ramp that was to handicap standards. Yeah, you spent 19 months in Burma, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was probably a rewarding time in some sense, but yet, it's something you really don't want to go through again.
No, but I'm glad I made it.
I'm glad you made it, That's just one example of what we do. We reach out to the community, we do this unity of effort, we work together, and it's all for one common cause. Hey, we're going to take care of this problem right now, that need, not let it compound to the point that they become a statistic. This is a war, and we're losing this war. We're losing this battle here at home. All these veterans are out here having all these struggles. Let's not forget them. Let's go out here and let's organize for combat. Let's come together and let's beat this thing.
Poverty in Arkansas is widespread and crosses all demographics. Let's revisit the Bolton family to see how they are handling their many challenges and hear their outlook on the future.
Yeah, back to the dump house.
We're running a little behind, but it can only get better. Maybe it's just time for us to leave this house, because we stay 6 blocks from one of the highest crime spots in Little Rock. So we hear shooting, we hear arguing, we hear fights all through the night. So it's time for us to get our kids away from this, at least give them a chance.
I always talk about what I went through with my kids. Hopefully, hearing it all the time would detour them away from what I went through and make them want greater. Higher. It's only 2 words. Higher. My kids know education is like a very big part in my life. And Cam, play, okay. We sit on the floor, couch, wherever, and that's where we'll do homework. I will
drip, drip, drop, drop.
I try to make them at least read 30 minutes because reading is important. It builds your vocabulary. I just actually graduated with my associate's degree. Nobody in my family ever attended college, so I think I wanted to be the first.
Not just my success, it's my kids' success too. Cause mama was gone many hours, long nights. Couldn't be a mother to my kids. So my kids get rewarded. So they end this hummer. Stretch pink rim more.
I want to be able to be there for my kids, and when they grow up, hopefully that cycle has been broken and they won't, go out and get into any criminal activities or the drugs or stuff like that, and they'll be able to raise their kids.
There's someone worse off than what I am. So I can't complain. Just as long as I can see my family every day and see them smiling, that's it for me. That's all I need. That's all I need.
This was a glimpse into some of what individuals and families are facing each day and a few resources available to assist. There is much work to be done to aid our neighbors in need. As we saw earlier, Arkansas ranks number 4 in percentage of citizens living below the poverty line. 1 out of 5 children live below the poverty line. Too often we're tempted to look away. You think, if you don't see it, it's not real. Well, it's real, and it's right here affecting someone you know. We hope this program has informed you on how to get involved. The smallest act could be huge for someone in need. Thank you for watching.
Funding for this program is provided by the JPB Foundation and the Ford Foundation.